I never thought a simple washing machine could change lives, not just for others, but for me too. My name is Sebastian Cole, and when I was 35 years old, I turned an old van into something extraordinary. It wasn't just a vehicle, it became a lifeline for those who felt invisible. Back in 2014, living in a small town in Ireland, I was grappling with my own struggles. Uncertainty about my future, student loans piling up, and a deep desire to make my life meaningful. I felt like I was standing at a crossroads, unsure of which path to take but desperate to find purpose. That's when the idea for Clean Connections began. It all started with a simple observation. I had volunteered at soup kitchens and homeless shelters before, handing out food and blankets, but something always felt incomplete. People often wore the same clothes for days or weeks, and the weight of that reality stuck with me. Clean clothes seemed like such a basic thing, but for someone living on the streets, it was a luxury out of reach. I began to realize that clothing wasn't just about hygiene, it was about dignity, self-worth, and the confidence to face the world. I wondered, what if I could change that? The idea was simple: a van equipped with washers and dryers, offering free laundry services. But making it a reality was anything but simple. I didn't have much money, so I worked part-time jobs and borrowed from friends to buy a second-hand van. It was old, dented, and barely ran, but it was a start. With no experience in mechanics, I spent nights researching how to install machines and plumbing. My hands were covered in grease and blisters, and I can't count how many times I thought, this is impossible. There were moments I questioned my sanity, moments when I felt like giving up, but something inside me wouldn't let me quit. When Clean Connections officially launched in October 2014, I was terrified. The van looked functional, but I was afraid no one would trust it. On the first day, a man named Patrick approached me. He was hesitant, his arms full of dirty clothes. "What's the catch?" he asked. I smiled nervously and said, "There's no catch. It's just clean clothes, for free." He stood there for a moment, sizing me up, and then handed me his laundry. Watching him pull out a clean shirt an hour later and hold it like it was made of gold, it broke something in me. In a good way. Patrick stayed and talked while his clothes were drying. He told me about his life, his struggles, and his dreams. That day, I realized Clean Connections wasn't just about laundry, it was about connection. It was about sitting with someone, listening to their story, and reminding them they mattered. That simple moment with Patrick gave me clarity. I wasn't just running a service, I was building a bridge back to dignity. But the journey wasn't easy. The first few months were riddled with challenges. The machines broke down constantly, and I spent half my time repairing them. Fuel costs were high, and there were days I barely had enough money to keep the van running. I often found myself questioning whether this dream was sustainable. Was I really making a difference? Was it worth the sleepless nights, the stress, and the relentless self-doubt? One cold November evening, the van's generator failed while I was parked outside a shelter. I sat there in the dark, surrounded by people who had trusted me to help them, feeling like I'd let them down. Tears welled up in my eyes as I thought about giving up. But then I remembered Patrick's smile, and the way his shoulders seemed a little lighter after that first wash. If I can give even one more person that feeling, it's worth it, I told myself. Slowly but surely, things began to change. Word spread about Clean Connections, and donations started coming in. Volunteers reached out, wanting to help. By the following year, the van was running almost daily, and I could see the impact growing. People weren't just coming for clean clothes. They were coming for conversations, for a moment of connection in a world that often ignored them. One moment that stuck with me was meeting a woman named Fiona. She was a single mother of two, living in a shelter after escaping an abusive relationship. She hadn't had access to clean clothes for weeks, and when she saw the van, her eyes filled with tears. "This means so much more than you know," she said. As her clothes tumbled in the dryer, we talked about her kids, her hopes, and her plans to rebuild her life. Watching her walk away with a bag of fresh laundry and a glimmer of hope in her eyes reminded me why I started this journey. Over time, Clean Connections grew beyond what I ever imagined. I began to partner with local businesses, community organizations, and donors who believed in the mission. Each partnership brought new opportunities to expand our reach and touch more lives. I even started to hear stories of people who, after using the service, went on to secure jobs or housing simply because they felt confident enough to take the next step. Today, Clean Connections operates in 36 locations across Ireland, washing approximately 350 loads of laundry per week with the help of over 270 incredible volunteers. Each location is more than a stop for laundry. It's a hub of connection. People come not just for clean clothes, but for the chance to be seen, heard, and valued. This growth didn't happen because of me alone. It happened because people believed in the power of small acts of kindness. Volunteers, donors, and community members came together to make Clean Connections what it is today. Together, we've proven that you don't need to be wealthy or powerful to make a difference. You just need to care enough to try. Looking back, I think about how much I've changed too. Clean Connections started as a way to help others, but it ended up saving me. It gave me purpose, resilience, and a deeper understanding of humanity. It taught me that even in the darkest moments, when everything feels like it's falling apart, there's always a way to create light. If you're reading this and wondering if you can make a difference, the answer is yes. You don't need a perfect plan or unlimited resources. You just need the courage to take that first step. Because sometimes the smallest acts, like washing clothes, can have the biggest impact.